Ladies, if you're over 60 and have adult children, you need to hear this. Because sometimes the most painful betrayal doesn't come from strangers. It comes from our own kids. If your son or daughter ever says any of these 8 phrases to you, you walk away. For your dignity, your sanity, and your peace. Stay with me until the end. Number 8 is the one I ignored. And I paid the price. Speech balloon, tell me in the comments. Have you ever heard one of these before? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with another senior woman who needs to hear it. 1. You're just old, you wouldn't understand. The first time I heard this from my own child, it felt like someone had taken a knife and carved right through all the years I had sacrificed, loved, and fought for them. We are not ancient relics. We are living, breathing women with decades of experience that often does understand, just in a different way. What they call old-fashioned, I call seasoned. And yet in one breath, all that wisdom is dismissed. All those hard lessons erased. I remember my son was struggling at work, and I offered some advice. He rolled his eyes and said, "You wouldn't get it, Mom. Things are different now. You're from another time." It stung more than I expected, not because I needed to be right, but because I realized he no longer saw me as relevant. And that, my dear friends, is heartbreaking, because we spend a lifetime becoming more than just mothers. We become mentors, teachers, quiet warriors. But somehow, once we pass 60, society, and even our children, start treating us like we're outdated software. So let me be clear. If your child tells you this, it's not just a throwaway comment. It's a red flag that they've stopped valuing you as an equal. You don't need to yell. You don't need to fight. Sometimes the best response is silence and walking away with your dignity. 2, you're being too sensitive. It was just a joke. Now, this one is sneaky. It masks disrespect with humor. It turns cruelty into something you're supposed to laugh at. Or else you're the problem. I'll never forget the day my daughter made a joke in front of her friends about how I was losing it and couldn't keep up with anything anymore. They all laughed, and I tried to laugh too, but my cheeks were burning and my heart felt tight in my chest. Later, I told her it hurt me. You know what she said? "Oh, come on, Mom. You're being too sensitive. It was just a joke." That's when I realized she wasn't sorry. She wasn't even aware of how disrespectful it was. Because this phrase isn't about what was said. It's about dismissing how you feel. Let me say something clearly. Your feelings are valid. You're allowed to feel hurt. You're allowed to ask for respect. And if someone, even your own child, uses humor to hide hurtful words and then blames you for reacting, that's emotional manipulation, plain and simple. You are not too sensitive. You are finally learning to protect your peace. 3, you're lucky. I even let you see the grandkids. This one makes me tremble with a mix of rage and sorrow. My friend Barbara went through this. Her daughter used the grandchildren like a weapon. Anytime Barbara offered an opinion or didn't say yes quickly enough, she'd be punished by being told she couldn't see her grandkids that weekend. Do you understand how cruel that is? To turn the love between a grandmother and a child into a bargaining chip? And what made it worse? Barbara blamed herself. She thought if she just tried harder, said less, smiled more, walked on eggshells, she'd be granted access to her own flesh and blood. Ladies, listen to me. This is not love. It's control. It's power disguised as parenting. You should never be made to earn the right to see your grandchildren, especially when you've done nothing but love and support your family. That love should be a bridge, not a leash. So if you ever hear this phrase, you must ask yourself, am I being respected or am I being managed? And if it's the latter, then it's time to step back. Sometimes the hardest love is choosing your self-respect over someone else's manipulation. For you're not leaving anything in the will for me. Let's talk about entitlement, the kind that makes your stomach churn because it comes from the people you raised. I remember this moment like it was yesterday. I was updating my will, making sure some money would go to charity and a few items to close friends. My grown son, found out and said, "Wait, you're not leaving anything for me?" I looked at him in disbelief, not because he wanted something, but because he acted like it was owed to him. Not a single question about my health, not a "how are you managing?" Not even a fake concern. Just money. What they forget is that we've already given them everything. We gave up sleep, careers, dreams. Some of us even gave up ourselves. And now, in our older years, when we finally start doing something for us, we're met with guilt-tripping and greed. Let me say this. You do not owe your children an inheritance. You owe yourself peace. Use your resources how you see fit. Whether it's travel, hobbies, donations, or simply enjoying your days, that is your right. If they love you, they'll care more about your life than what's left after it. And if not, well, that says more about them than it does about you. Walk away from those conversations. You've earned the right to spend your final chapters on your terms. 5. Can't you just move into a home already? This phrase, it carries a weight many of us dread. Sometimes it's spoken softly, almost like a suggestion, and sometimes it's slammed down like a demand. Either way, it feels like a final verdict, a signal that your independence is no longer wanted. I'll never forget the afternoon my daughter sat me down and said those exact words. She sounded concerned, but there was impatience in her voice, as if I were an inconvenience she wanted to solve quickly and quietly. "Mom, can't you just move into a home already? It would be easier for all of us." At the time, I was still walking without a cane, cooking my own meals, and driving to the grocery store. I was capable, but apparently not convenient enough. I understand why adult children say this. Sometimes the responsibility can be overwhelming, and it's hard watching a parent age. But when it's said with the urgency of "we're done negotiating," it feels like rejection. You have the right to age your way. You have the right to keep your home, your routines, your freedom for as long as you're able. If your child pushes you into this decision prematurely, it's not about your well-being, it's about their convenience. Walk away from that pressure. Live your life on your terms. Your independence is your dignity. 6. You don't need that. Save your money. Let me tell you a little secret. When I turned 65, I wanted to treat myself. Nothing extravagant, just a small dream I had held on to for years, a little piano in my living room, something to bring music back into my days. When I told my son, he laughed. "Mom, you don't need that. Save your money for emergencies." Now, I'm practical. I understand the importance of saving. But this phrase, it wasn't about care. It was about control. For a long time, I second-guessed myself. Was I being frivolous? Was I being irresponsible? But then I thought about all those decades of hard work, the sacrifices, the birthdays and Christmas mornings where I put everyone else first. I deserve to enjoy my money now, to find joy and beauty in the little things, to buy that piano if I want to travel if I want to. If your child tells you this, ask yourself, is this concern or control? Are they protecting you or limiting you? Spend your money on what makes your heart sing. You earned it. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for it. 7. We don't really have room for you this holiday. Holidays, supposed to be full of warmth, laughter, family traditions. Instead, for many of us, they become the loneliest days of the year. I was once told this by my daughter just 2 days before Christmas. No prior conversation, no explanation, just a cold text. "We don't really have room for you this year." That stung worse than I can say. I had always made holidays special. The turkey, the decorations, the stories from years gone by. I thought I was welcome, even loved. But Sometimes the love isn't enough. Sometimes the demands of life, new partners, children's schedules, old resentments, squeeze you out. If your children keep excluding you from family gatherings, don't let it break your spirit. Find new traditions. Invite friends. Celebrate yourself. And if you can, tell them how it hurts. But if they don't listen, protect your heart by walking away, at least for that moment, and surround yourself with kindness. 8. You were never really there for me anyway. This phrase is the hardest to hear of all, because it questions your very identity as a mother. Years ago, during a particularly difficult conversation, my daughter said those words in anger. She said I was absent, that I didn't support her enough. For a moment, I was crushed. I replayed every birthday, every sick night, every moment I put her needs before mine. Was I perfect? No, but I gave her everything I had. That phrase felt like a dagger. But over time, I realized something important. People carry their own pain, and sometimes they project it on those they love. If your child uses this phrase to cut you down, to rewrite your history, don't let it define you. You are more than their anger or disappointment. You are years of love, of strength, of resilience. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for them and for yourself is to step back, walk away, and heal.